Hello and welcome to the Love is Blind RHAP Up. I'm Asia and we are here to talk about Love is Blind UK. And we are here by popular demand by the many tweets and messages and everything else that we have seen of people wanting us to cover this season. So we are here to talk about the entire season from episode 1 through the reunion and give our thoughts about all of these couples and the season as a whole. So I am here with amazing people who I love podcasting with. So first up, Jason Reed. Jason, how are you?
Asia, I'm doing great. Listen, it's great to be here with both you and Mary. I know that you guys thought we were here to talk about Love Is Blind UK, but actually, this is the listening party for my debut single, "Body of a Podcaster." So sorry to disappoint, but enjoy the good tunes. No, I'm so happy to. Yeah. Listen, it's forthcoming. It just hasn't gotten mixed yet. I'm so happy to be here talking about Love Is Blind again, but this time across the pond. Don't you know, mate? Isn't it? Isn't it across the pond? But I just had to. I had to do the accent. I'll try not to do it too much, but I can't promise it won't happen again. So great dear listeners, be prepared. That's all I have to say.
You sounded like Bridgerton.
Dear listeners.
Dear
Dear
listeners. Right. And then, naturally, for our Love is Blind coverage, Mary Kwiatkowski is here. Mary, how are you?
Oh, I'm so glad to be watching season 1 of Love is Blind all over again. This was so great. It was look, we have very different opinions on this panel. Jason wants the drama. I just want the love, and I want realistic love stories. And so when I'm looking at a cast that I'm like, yes, upper 20s, 30s, look at this. We are here for the right reasons for the most part. Jason might be falling asleep. I was all into it. So I loved it. Also, I am a sucker for the plethora of different regional accents that we had in this show.
Yes.
Loved it. Loved all of them. I also want to just go ahead and say up front, at least for myself, I watched this show. I consumed it the same way that most people would, not the way a podcaster would. Meaning, I have notes, but I don't have details. Here are some things. I did not pause and Google once. I have no clue who the hosts were of this show. Don't know. Didn't write their names down. Have no clue what they're from. When was this filmed? Couldn't tell you. What was everybody's job? No idea. But I watched the love and I watched the relationships. So there we go.
I mean, listen, Asia. You're kind of a come lately. Me and Mary did the last season of Love Is Blind without you because you were on a work trip or whatever. So you're coming in now. Me and Mary are forming this like connection, and now you're just coming back. Like,
yeah.
First of all, why do you act like I haven't recorded a bajillion episodes of Married at First Sight with you for the past, 3 or 4 seasons? And you act like me and Mary have not talked about, 3 seasons of Love is Blind?
I'm just saying, the most recent thing.
We're just joining forces here.
Yeah. Should we actually do that up front for the listeners? Did you have any thoughts on the previous season of Love is Blind?
Do you even remember who was on Love is Blind?
What city was that in?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Chicago? Baltimore? I have no idea.
All I do know is y'all did a great job covering it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Actually, that's the only thing I remember.
Here's a quiz for Love is Blind season 6. Jason, can you name one couple?
Yes. Megan Fox and Ed from Ed, Ed and Eddie.
Oh, was that only last season? Okay, that felt like a long time ago.
No, Chelsea and Jimmy, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Amy and Johnny.
Yep. It was all the J names.
They were actually the most forgettable, so that's actually impressive.
How could I forget Jeremy?
Yes. But who was his wife?
Laura.
But he left her for.
Ooh, you got me there. He stumped me. He really did.
That's kind of wild to think that was only this year. It feels like forever ago, but
oh yes, Sarah Ann, because there was all
Sarah
that
Ann.
Sarah Ann.
Right. I was looking at shows up. AD and
Yes.
Clay. Look, it's all
Oh,
coming
Eddie
back.
and
That's right,
Clay.
because we got
I
to
need
a
to check
point
on
Oh,
them.
in
Clay.
the season where there were only like 4 couples.
Oh, Clay. Right. But for this season, Love is Blind UK, there are
So many.
6.
Yeah, it was. Let's say it's like season 1 all over again.
Honestly. Well, if you are just joining us for the first time and you have made it 5 minutes in and you want to know a little bit more, we talk about Love is Blind. And so we are here to talk about Love is Blind UK. If you want to subscribe to the feed, go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed where you can get all of the podcasts about Love is Blind, Married at First Sight, The Ultimatum, Perfect Match. It's all there in one spot, these unconventional love shows. And we talk about them. So make sure you go subscribe. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about with Love is Blind UK. First up, what did y'all think about the season as a whole?
As Mary mentioned, we had a lot of very mature people on this cast, and also they're British. So I feel like we had some very polite, posh people that didn't really fight a lot. So for me, it was just like, where's my entertainment? Where's the fun? Where's the mess? But overall, I will say I enjoyed myself watching
Okay,
the season. It
that's
wasn't
good.
wasn't it was not the worst Love is Blind season I've seen.
That
Is this a hot take? In terms of just enjoyment and watching, this might be the top 3 Love is Blind season I've consumed.
right.
No
Jason,
way.
you're saying like, you're not the stinkiest person in the room.
I mean, you're not season 2 of Love is Blind. Like a half hard on that Love is Blind UK. You're not season 2 of the US Love is Blind. Okay.
I think we come for different things, and
We
for
really
me,
do. I'm used to that.
I really enjoyed the UK-ishness of it. I will say I did enjoy, like, there was a lot of kind of I don't know, cultural things that were very interesting, especially with a lot of people's families and parents and stuff. And that's not to say you couldn't have that in US versions, but there was a lot that I was like, oh, this is nice. Look at how other people
Yeah.
live.
We just had very polite, measured
Yeah.
arguments, and
Loved
that's not what I'm here for. Like that's not what I watch reality TV for. Okay.
Listen, I enjoyed the maturity of this season
Mhm.
because it was kind of like, wow, it's exactly what you said, Mary. It gave me season 1 Love is Blind vibes where everyone here is here for the right reason, and we could actually see some love blossom from these pairings, because I'm so over the toxicity coming out of the pods. And it's just like, even what could have been potential like just toxicity, it was handled so maturely this season. I was just like, and I don't know if that could be credited to the age of the cast or if it's just because it was in the UK.
I think the thing it's most credited toward is being the first of a series. Like, I think the show is inclined to want to have some successes so that more people will watch it and want to participate in it. And also they don't, because probably I don't know how it's still a Netflix property, so I'm not sure how like the payment might change for it being a UK season, but I imagine that like most people are thinking, okay, I might not necessarily get famous from this, so might as well try. I think that the most recent seasons of the US version just feel very, we're getting to this territory that feels Bachelor-y, or like a lot of other dating shows where it's like 80% of the cast do not care if they get like a relationship out of this. And for me, I'm just like, I just don't even care then.
It was very influency. Like people are here to get social influence out of this. And just this felt like people that were here for love. They didn't care to be famous from it. And for that reason, it felt like they were really all actually invested in the outcome of all relationships.
It feels very like too hot to handle because it's just like the people on there, they go on there, they don't care. It's just to have fun. Whereas like that's what Love is Blind the US has turned into, is like, I'm going on here to have a good time. If I get married, I get married. If I get engaged, I get engaged. But whatever, we'll see. Where it was like these people were being very intentional with, okay, this is why I want to get married. These are the things that matter to me. Do they matter to you? Because we need to figure that out before we say yes at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even if our values do misalign, we're still gonna go on this
We're gonna try it
Vacation in
out.
Greece. Yeah, we're gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, I think that we've seen after watching so many seasons that there are several different types of archetypes in the couples that kind of like, whether they're editing archetypes or this is just truly the type of people that get cast, show up a lot. One, you'll have a pretty boring couple who gets together pretty early and they're going to be like the main steady staple of the show. They're going to be the first ones to get engaged, yada, yada. We see it like almost every season. There's going to be a couple that like, they're attracted to each other. Maybe they get along kind of, but especially once we get back to the real world, they just don't communicate well. And you look at them and you're like, there's no villain, there's no bad guy here necessarily. They have completely different lifestyles and they are not on the same page. Like they want completely different things. They might love each other all they want, but they can't talk. Then they'll be like the couple that chose the wrong person and needs to see whether or not there might be a different option they missed. We've had that one a couple times. There's like, and then there's like several just sort of middle-ish, boring-ish couples that you're kind of like, I don't know, we don't see a lot of them. They might have one fight, and that's either because that was a huge thing, but they don't want to show too much of it because it's going to be why they break up, so they need us to think that maybe they'll stay together, or it was completely inconsequential and they just needed to show us a fight. And that's kind of most of the couples.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think one thing that was really that I was really trying to sit with was like, okay, the comparison to the US, right? I mean, and I do think a large part of that is due to, this being the first season. Do you think that they will continue to do it given the success rate of this season?
I hope so. Is it still like, so it's come out a couple weeks ago. I'm curious to see where it's at on Netflix right now. Let me check, see if it's still in the top 10. I feel like it was pretty successful. I think with, especially because they didn't pick a city like they do in the US. They basically had it apparently open to the entire UK is what it seemed like. For better or for worse. And I don't know if they had to do that because they needed to open it that broadly to find enough people. I don't know if y'all could tell. It seemed like in the clips where they would show the pods, like the men's room and the women's room, it seemed like there's fewer people on this cast than
there were 30 people altogether.
Okay, that's a lot.
So I'm not sure. Does that stack up to the US?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
feel
it
like
is about the same.
Is it really? Because in the US, it seems like there's so many more people.
Yeah, it seems like there's 40 in the US.
No, I think
maybe
it
was
is
just that
30.
we basically didn't see
We didn't meet anyone else.
who was not one of the main couples.
Right. Yeah, we didn't.
Which I thought was very interesting. I like that actually because I feel like we're able to really get to know the people that we are going to be following. Because I like they focused on either the people that got engaged or the people that they were debating against.
But I feel like that's been kind of the trend of the recent US seasons. Like in the recent US seasons, how many people did we get to know that we just dropped later? It feels like we just meet people that are going to be either very involved, like as a couple, or people that are on the outskirts of that couple, the person that could have been this other person's match. Because I feel like every season we get a big old press release of 30 to 40 people. Here's the cast of Love is Blind, and then we don't meet more than half of these people. Like we get bios for them and everything, and then they never get a speaking part in any of the shows. I feel like that's similar to what this was though. But
and I feel like they should at least do like episode 1. Let's do a few montages of like sprinkling in meeting everyone, and they didn't even really do that at all.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into these couples because some of these people I had strong opinions about. Some I was just kind of like, they were there, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see kind of where we all stand in the different couples and like just our thoughts on, do we feel like their story was really shared? Because there were some I was like, oh wait, I forgot about this couple.
There is one couple I'll tell you that I have 0 notes for the pods.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah. I wrote they got engaged. I have no clue anything about them.
I think I have 2 of those.
So okay, first couple that we will get into, I'm going to defer to you, Jason, about their statistics. But first couple will be Steven and Sabrina.
All right. Steven, 37, gym owner, and Sabrina, 35, director of marketing.
I did have her name written down as Olivia for approximately 6 episodes.
Oh boy.
I was like, that's not her name.
Oh my gosh,
I
that
said it up
is
front. I
funny.
casually viewed this show. I watched it, but I didn't. That was it. So this was like the very typical. I'm trying to think of who the equivalents were in other seasons. The season 1, Kelly and the other guy,
Oh,
Kenny or whatever
Kenny,
his name
Kelly, and
was.
Kenny.
Kenny and Kelly,
But
yeah.
they're also sort of the like Brennan and Alexa and like it's the couple who basically by the end of episode 1 or 2 is getting engaged. And like boom, they're going to be kind of the stable, it's kind of boring. Like there's never going to be any question of like, do they like someone else in the pods or out? No, they're just boom, they're together. And I think the most surprising thing is just what happens at the reunion, like compared to everything else.
Yeah. They got along really, really easily in the pods. They had some deep convos about kids, and there was that was kind of their big moment in the pods. Was like she says, I feel like I'm too old to really kind of have kids naturally, and I'm not sure I even really want kids. I'm not like jumping to have kids. His thing was, I'm gonna actually need some kids, and it just felt like she's like, well, if you want those kids, we're probably gonna have to adopt. He's like, deal, fine.
Yeah, he's like, fine, great.
There's like, cool. The other thing that really jumped
what
out.
about compromise? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like they're two very easy people to get along with. Apparently, the thing that jumped out at me about Steven in the pods was his story about a previous relationship with a woman that had cancer.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about this woman. He's like, yeah, my last serious relationship was really tough. I was with a woman. She had cancer, and I'm like, okay, this could go a couple different ways. Like, she tragically
that way.
Yeah, she tragically passes away, before they could really cement their relationship, or it went good and she went into remission, but then they broke up afterwards. And he's just like, yeah, she broke up with me while she was fighting cancer. I was like, how bad do you have to be in a relationship for someone to break up with you while they are battling cancer?
And when Sabrina asks and is like, oh, is she okay now? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, wow.
Like, oh my gosh.
Right. It was so interesting to share.
That should be your first red flag, Sabrina.
Well, what's weird is like on a second watch, after finding out why they, spoiler alert, break up after they do say yes at the wedding, what ends up being wild is if you go back and look at a lot of this stuff, everything starts to be like, interesting. Like even him, like he's 37, he wants kids. Okay. But then like part of the reason they break up is because he's putting no time or effort into her and it's like canceling plans, or at least
he only visited her twice. And
and like he mentions that he had to cancel like one of the plans because he didn't handle his finances well. And I'm just thinking like, this is not like a very mature 37-year-old who's ready to settle down and have kids. This is someone who clearly has like a lot going on in their life. And I'm not like passing blame. I'm just saying it's interesting to me when you meet someone who's like, here are my values. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to do this. But then like does not have their life in the place where it would need to be to achieve those things.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can go either way when you're getting into this territory of older 30s or like later 30s, right? Like it's either someone who is very prepared, they just have not found the right person, they are ready to give their all to somebody at this nice, mature age. Or you have the person that is 37 and you learn why they are not married. And you're like, oh, okay. But it's just like, how do you figure that out? Because that person has to be so self-aware. Like Steven would have had to be so self-aware in the situation to be able to communicate that, which he wouldn't have, because that would have ruined his chances with her. But it's like, because of the time frame here, she wouldn't have been able to like to weed that out before accepting the proposal, before saying yes at the altar. I think that I ran across an article that said that she wishes she would have trusted her gut. And so I think it's interesting that like, I don't know, were they just like on, had they just not gone deep enough in order, like before they said yes? Or was it just like she was still just kind of feeling it out, trying to see like, okay, I don't know.
Well, and at the reunion, Steven talks about like, when you're in this experience, it all comes in a blur. Like you're getting your trips paid for, you're getting your dates paid for. Like he had a lot of value around like money and around like the
Yeah.
experiences. And then like, he's like, and then basically he was like, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. Life got in the way. Like he just kind of lost interest when she was not in his face.
Yeah, and it when you hear the story about his previous relationship, you the way that he had described it was like, I was so there for her all the time,
It
and then
sounded like
she didn't want.
it sounded like he really made it about him. It,
Yeah,
it
which I
feels like
mean, like it's like he's on the dating show, whatever. He's trying to everyone, you're talking about your relationships. You're trying to come up with some sort of past reason that has to do with you. That's fine. I get it. I'm not trying to blame him. All I can say is I can look at the facts. They were together, they got married, now they're not. According to her, I thought it was so interesting in the reunion. She's like listing off a lot of things that they're not exactly digs at him. Like she's blaming him and she's giving the reasons why, like canceling the flight 2 days before Christmas, only visiting me twice. Like here are the things that I did to be considerate when you'd visit me, and then when I would visit you, you didn't change anything about your schedule. These kind of things, like yes, they're digs, but it's not like she's not saying emotional attacks on him. She's saying like factual ones, at least from my
This is
perspective.
what happened.
And
Yeah.
he's just saying those are lies. And it's like, I feel like she could pull
Not
up
true.
receipts for any of these things,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
And then also, I notice it tells a lot, especially I'm like, I know people can be immature, but like for a 37-year-old man, when you say something like, I don't even recognize this person who's
Yeah.
talking to me, or like, this is not the person I thought I married. That is a defensive and emotional attack that is like there's no factualness like behind that. And so it's just very eye-opening to see like the way that she was talking versus the way he was.
And,
Literally.
and listen, I know that she couldn't see it, but he walked into that pod one day with a shirt that said, "I get 1% better every day" or something like that. That was already that was a no. That was like, yeah, it's not gonna be able to do that with this
Hey,
huge
don't
man.
knock that saying. My brother uses that saying on his fitness Instagram.
I mean, but to come on national TV with it on is a choice. It's a choice.
Yeah, this couple was tough for me because they were presented to us as like the loving, like it's gonna like even at the reveal, he like whispered, "Will you marry me?" to her. And it was just like very sweet. They were mutually attracted, which kind of for the whole cast, everybody was conventionally attractive, which doesn't that kind of go against Love is Blind?
I was gonna bring that up. I feel like there's almost no purpose to having this be in two pods where you can't see each other. And this is pretty much the whole gamut of Love is Blind, where they pretty much for every contestant has almost been like very conventionally attractive. So like, what is really the point? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
but see, I was thinking about that too, of like, maybe it's in a sort of a bad way. It's like the only way they feel like they're going to be able to get people on a show, because they know that, yeah, Love is Blind when you're all generally around the same
When
attractiveness.
you're all beautiful.
Right. If you're like, if there was a bigger spectrum, I would say a bigger range of general attractiveness, I think you would just have a whole lot more people who meet at the reveal and instantly say no. I think they're just not doing the experiment.
yeah,
They're just
well,
like,
it's like,
no, sorry, not attracted to you. You know.
yeah. So I mean, so like guilty pleasure like alert here. I watched the TV show Catfish. Okay, so sue me. And a lot of that is like because they're talking to people, they find out they're fake people, and they're like, oh well, I still want to meet them to get to know them because I still love this person because we had these talks, and then they meet the person, and it's very far away from the picture that they had been presented, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh well, you lied to me many times, so I can't do this anymore. I mean, I feel like that would be what would happen if they put normal everyday Joes and Janes on this show mixed up with the model types that we get as well. Those doors would open and they'd be like, oh, hey, great. And then you
Yeah.
would probably get a Nicole that would like behind the scenes like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not going to Greece.
Truly. Yeah, because I was just like, okay, who's saying no? Because
Right.
like look at everyone. The only difference for her was she thought he was bald. And so I was like, okay, well, he's not. So y'all look great together.
except for her boring brown eyes. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that later.
Wait, who did say that? Was it
That was Sam to Nicole.
Sam to Nicole?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
Which
my
is
god.
wild. But yeah, with them ultimately breaking up because of long distance, because of his lack of effort, I think what it boiled down to was they were just kind of smitten with each other from jump, and then it just didn't work out in terms of like, I see this person as my future.
The other thing that was hard to tell was I feel like in the US seasons, there's a lot more like they come back and people go back to their jobs. And so you find out pretty quickly, like, oh, we're more in real life, at least in the more recent seasons. Maybe season one, they were a little more kind of separated. But like in this show, I couldn't tell. Are they going back to work? Are they all just hanging out? Because it did. I wonder if a lot more of their connection and the easiness that they had back in the real world before they got married was just like, what Jason was saying. Oh, you're having all these dates paid for. You're not doing anything. Like, did they take time off work? And was that why it was just like, yeah, it's fun when everything's a honeymoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the big lesson for this couple was like life comes at you fast when you gotta go back to work, when you have other life responsibilities that get in the way of this lovey-dovey connection we had when we were doing nothing but hanging out in a hotel room all day. I think is what something he said. It's easy to be in love then, but then when life comes at you, that's when things get hard, and their relationship wasn't strong enough because they weren't around each other to survive life coming back at them. I,
Yeah.
I feel like this was kind of DOA because I think right before the wedding, they were still even being like, well, he's going to move here and things be great. And then he was like, well, she's going to move here and things be great. I'm like, ooh, so y'all just didn't talk about this at all in a real way, did you? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know like it, I get people who are like, "Oh, I don't like to text a lot and I don't like to do phone calls and stuff." It's like, yeah, you technically just got married. You're living in two different countries, and so you're going to have to put in some effort there, both of you. And if you don't, then that's why the relationship is going to fail. Now, I don't know if we figured out how long it took to fail. I mean, if
There
I think it was
was an article about that,
because they
about how
because
mentioned
many
something about
days.
Christmas, and it seemed like Christmas might have kind of been the kiss of death. So I'm not
right,
sure.
because the reunion was a year after the weddings.
Hmm.
And she mentioned something about not seeing him for 8 months. So I think this lasted about 3 to 4 months
Okay, so
before
it's
they
pretty
called.
pretty short period. And so
Yeah.
in 3 to 4 months, she's visiting him 7 times. That's like pretty decent. I mean, ideally you would just like live in the same country, but
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the only way to make long distance work is to like have like an active schedule where you're going back
right.
and forth. So if they didn't figure that out beforehand, there wasn't any way that they were just gonna stumble into it. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate they didn't work out, but
It was shocking to me though. I just didn't see it coming. I
yeah.
didn't see the signs.
I felt like I wasn't surprised that they were over. I think I was more surprised at how hard she took it and how much she was coming at him at the reunion. That's the part I was a little surprised by.
Yeah, so he did end up saying that in the real world, you've got the added pressures of work, lack of sleep, etc. We just weren't compatible. We had different communication styles and expectations of each other, particularly when under pressure. Obviously, the distance that just magnified everything. So I don't know. I also feel it seems as if even if there wasn't the distance issues, there would have been an issue with
Yeah.
effort.
And
Yeah.
and I like and just to because I can never tell with the audience. I sometimes I'll feel like, oh yeah, 100%. We all have the same opinions, and that I'll hear differently. And I know some people might be out there saying, well, she didn't move like to him. She went back to her country. She went back to Ireland and then immediately like started a new job. And so I can understand why some people might say like, why didn't she do that in London or wherever he lived? Um, Fair. Seems like some things maybe they should have talked about beforehand.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like in the pods, he had asked her about relocating, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm down to relocate. Like,
Yeah.
I want to get out of my
So
country."
kind of a
And
gap there of like
yeah, so
where that
what
went down.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else on this couple?
No, I think we squeeze enough blood out of this stone.
Yeah, I feel like, and we also didn't get an insane amount of content from them. I felt like
Yeah, not
if
at
they
all.
were to
Yeah,
just splice together their scenes, we probably would have been at like
Mm,
30 minutes.
if
yeah.
that, yeah.
If that, yeah.
Also, to correct myself, Northern Ireland, not Ireland.
Mm.
Just from Belfast. different place.
See,
Ugh.
I can't even say anything because I
The UK is
don't,
very
my geography
confusing.
is not
I'm not
there.
good with geography, even in the U.S., so I'm not
Right?
going to comment.
Yes.
Exactly. Please don't ask me where Pennsylvania and New York are.
um.
So let's move on to the next couple. This couple ended up staying together.
Oh,
So we have Bobby and Jasmine.
and they are the ones that I have the least on. Like,
Really?
Bobby.
Yes.
Bobby, 33, luxury sales associate, apparently on a cruise ship, and Jasmine, 29, a mental health nurse.
now he's also a singer.
He's also a rapper.
Oh, a rapper. Okay.
Yeah.
So was that his music video that they showed at one point?
Yes,
Yes.
and
I was a
Yeah.
little
it was
confused about that.
him that he performed a couple years ago, but now but now she's seen it and he had like a video girl in it. So
And he
now
had
she's
to
kind of like,
explain himself.
See, and this is the thing. I watched it and I'm like, okay, there was a music video. I don't know if that was his song or whatever.
Mary's,
And then at
Mary's
the
like, that was random. I
yeah,
don't know why I showed that.
then at the wedding, they're singing. Everyone is singing along to a song, and I'm like, but all the music, in these Love Is Blind shows are just like, oh, is she gonna make a choice? It's difficult to decide. And so when we actually have them all singing along, I'm like, wait, is this a real song? I don't know this song. And then I'm like, maybe it was his song. So I think it was his song they were playing.
See that the song was called "Body of a Dancer," and so that's what I was referencing in my intro when we
yes,
came on.
I got that.
No, I did get
I
that.
got,
But
I
I'm
understood
saying
that
it
reference.
took me until the wedding to like piece it all together. Because I'm
It's a
just
deep
like I'm
cut.
saying, it's out here. I'm just taking it in. And by the end, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yes.
This was another couple that they were beautiful, right?
Mhm.
I
Very cute
think
couple.
yes, and we did get very little content from them because there was a certain point that I was like, "Oh yeah, we haven't seen them in what, an episode or two?"
Yeah. And I have
I
like no notes on them in the pods. Was there any drama? Was there a love triangle? I have no idea.
No, there was nothing.
No,
Well,
wasn't it
Sam
Jasmine.
them
liked
that they
her.
were each other's first dates?
Yes, I
I
think so.
think
But
they said that
Jasmine,
in the reunion that they were each other's first dates, like in the pods, if
yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
and Jasmine did have like a little dalliance with Sam, but her radar went off like Nicole's should have, and she
Mhm.
understood that Sam was a shuckster, a con man, and got out of
Hmm.
there, got out of their PDQ, and
Absolutely
got with
not.
her man.
Yeah. I do think that their meeting, like their reveal was very natural. It was obviously very attracted to each other. And I think even with the music video conversation, I think he handled it really well. He was like,
Mhm.
he was like, it's my job to like reassure you and affirm you in this relationship. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that is just great.
Bobby knows he got a dime, and he's trying to hold on to
Yeah.
it. He's like, "I will do or
Anything.
say
If you
anything.
want, I'll
Everything,
delete the video.
everything's my fault. I'll go kill the video girl if you want me to. Like everything, I know everything is my fault. I apologize before you could even say I did something wrong. I'm so sorry." And that conversation was almost like when you're with your significant other and they have a dream about you cheating on them, and they're like, "I dreamed you cheated on me. How dare you?" It's like that was a video 2 years ago with some random girl I haven't talked to probably since then. She's like, "Well, you still did it." So like,
Yeah. I mean, the big thing with them obviously is Jasmine's mom. And that's
Yeah.
like
yeah,
pretty much 90%
that's
of
their one thing. Yeah.
that's their thing. Which was wild. The like the the scene where she comes and is grilling him, and I'm just like, the way they edit it in the span of 30 seconds, she calls him uneducated. That-
And when she walks in the door, like he opens the door, he's like, "Hey!"
right.
She looks right past him to
Hugs
Jasmine.
hugs Jasmine, and he's just like,
Oh.
He,
okay.
he has his arms open to get a hug, and she literally leaves him hanging and just walks to Jasmine and just totally ignores that he's even there. It was priceless.
And it was like,
Honestly.
look, I don't know Jasmine's life. Clearly, she's very, very close with her mom. There's a world if this was a scripted TV show and the words were coming out, and this was, if this is, I don't know, some kind of drama and these words are coming out of someone's mouth, I'd be like, Jasmine, run. This is a bad relationship between her and her mom, not that her. And I'm not, and like I said, if it was scripted, clearly this is edited. We have no clue. Their whole relationship is probably great. But telling someone like, no, you're getting married, but you need to tell me everything that's going to happen. Like Jasmine was right. She's like, I'm not going to tell you every argument because then you'll
Like,
just
no, actually, you do need to.
No, actually, you will.
But like clearly we see how it works out. Like her mom has doubts and she still marries him anyway. So clearly this is not like a under her thumb situation.
Which props to Jasmine,
Yeah.
because
Definitely, big time.
especially if that's how it's been for
Yeah.
her and that, and that's been their dynamic. I know that was probably very hard for her to
Oh, I'm
make that
sure.
decision
Yeah.
to like, hey, I'm choosing him for me because I'm in this relationship and this is my marriage, and so it's going to be very difficult to just kind of like, if she continued to just like do whatever her mom was comfortable with, then she wouldn't be happily married right now.
Or it's also possible that her relationship is more like, yeah, my mom's gonna say a lot of stuff, but I don't always listen to it. Like that could also
Right.
be true. In which case, great, this is fine. But yeah, I mean, they, happy. They both say I do. We get the like year together montage. It's cute.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
had not one real hurdle or speed bump that I could really see. They were the speaking of US Love is Blind last season, they were the Johnny and Amy of this season, where
Yeah.
there were no real speed bumps, no real hurdles, and they just got along swimmingly and didn't have a problem. I mean, Jasmine was so bored on the retreat, she decided to get into the Demi Ollie nonsense. She
Oh,
decided
yeah.
to inspire
That's
herself in
right.
that because she was so bored.
Yeah.
Jasmine comes out as being like she's the like protector friend of the group by far.
Yeah.
Did we see them meet anyone else besides Jasmine's mom? Any of her friends, any of his family? I have no memory of any of that.
If
I don't
they
think
did,
so.
they didn't show it.
Yeah, I don't think so. They had probably the least amount of
It must have just been
solo
so
scenes.
smooth and good that
Yeah.
they didn't even bother.
Yeah,
So I'm getting, or go ahead.
they didn't even have like a solo retreat scene, I don't think, of them talking
Mhm.
about anything. It was just like the camera people and producer were like, y'all are just so boring. Like y'all are not gonna
Y'all get along
get
too
on this
well.
show.
But very
Like,
pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. So I will say, for the wedding, it was props to Jasmine's mom for being there, not trying to talk her out of it, like still being a good sport. And I'm getting these updates from like Netflix.com. So it says like they're planning to expand their family, hopefully next year. And they said that Jasmine's mom has become an integral part of their day-to-day lives, despite the awkward beginning. The trio have settled into a new normal. Bobby said that Jasmine's mom is super supportive and the boundaries are in place. We built on our relationship and have become very close.
Well, I mean, by the wedding, he walked by her at the wedding, and she was like, "I love you." And,
Yeah.
and then at the reunion, she's like, "He's awesome. He's great." So I mean, he won her over pretty fast. With all the
Yeah.
talking that she did, she was won over pretty well. Maybe he showed her like his bank statements. Like, listen, I got this. Like, I'm good.
Right.
I sell luxury jewelry on cruise ships. What even is that? Like, is he one of the attendants at those shops on the boat?
Probably.
Yeah, on the boat.
Wow.
Like, we go into those shops on cruise ships, like that stuff is expensive. So
I mean, not
I don't
for
buy it.
not for Asia Wealth money, but that's another story.
I'm always like, who's buying this stuff?
I always wonder, I'm like, how are these
Yeah.
open? Like,
you just
ice cream
you just
shop?
spent
Like,
all this money to be here on a cruise. You're gonna come over here and buy some
But don't you
expensive.
not have to pay tax on that?
You will find me on the cruise ships in the jewelry store during
Browsing.
the 30 minutes I need to be there to get the free champagne when you pretend to look around and buy something to get the champagne and leave.
See, I do that in the casino.
That too.
Isn't that stuff tax free? Like, isn't it like save a little money or something on that?
A little.
A little.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. So yeah, they're easy. They're in love. They're still together. I think I follow like the Pop US data or Pop Culture Data Instagram account, and they track followers for
Nerd.
these people on these shows.
Ooh.
And I think Bobby was the one who grew the most in his followers and has the most followers from this season.
I mean, because he probably had none. Like, like it's
Yeah.
probably by percentage, and he had like
Well, what about he was a
he had the three.
rapper?
Yeah, he had the three people that listened to his stuff on Spotify, and that was about it. But you know, it almost like Mary, you mentioned this being like a scripted. If this was a scripted TV show, this almost feels like this could be a scripted sitcom with Bobby, Jasmine, and her mom that lives over the
Yeah.
garage or something
It's
that
just
comes down and
Three's
hassles him every day.
Company
Yeah,
version 2. Yeah.
yeah.
So happy for them. Love they're gonna have a beautiful life together, I'm sure. Um, so next up, we'll talk about Tom and Maria.
Mm.
Tom and Maria, as I'm getting to my notes. Tom,
Yeah.
38 years old, PR consultant. Maria, 30 years old, makeup artist.
Oof. Did you say makeup artist?
Makeup
Wow.
artist? Ew.
Okay.
Gross.
And I know it wasn't to them, but to me as a viewer, the cringiest thing I've ever seen on one of these shows was the kissing after the like in-person meet with all the lipstick. I was like, she's
didn't
putting on,
notice.
they show her putting on the lipstick. I'm like, girl, that's gonna get all over him. This is not lip stain. That's some glossy lipstick you're putting on. And it's just they're talking. I'm like, I can't even look at him because he's wearing a full face of lipstick at this point. It was that was wild.
I did not even notice that.
I felt so embarrassed for him because I was not, I mean, well, for both of them, but I was just like, this is so great. You're in love, you're meeting, but you have no clue what you look like right now. And it's ridiculous.
Listen, Tom saw Maria and he didn't even care. He was like, "Yeah, like I don't care about lipstick. I'm good." I think Tom liked what he saw when Maria came out.
Like I said, they only put hot people on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. I was shocked when that conversation came up about her occupation as a makeup artist and his response, like, yeah, I did judge you.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
He's like,
what?
He's like, yeah, I'm pretty judgmental. Like, yeah, that's just me. And I'm just like, so
okay, own it, I guess.
But it's like, so you came out of the pods, like fully judging her for her occupation. That was just okay for you. And so that was the first sign that trouble was brewing, I think.
And it's not like he didn't know what her job was, right? I presume they talked about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many of those questions for them. So you knew what her job was. You knew what her values were and your values, and yet you still decided to go with this.
This was an example of two people who were physically attracted to each other, but they just had such different ideas of what they wanted out of marriage and a relationship and stuff. Pretty early on, she mentions like, yeah, I'd kind of like to, be in a more traditional role. And he's like, I don't see that for my wife.
Yeah.
Like, well, then it sounds like y'all shouldn't get married.
Yeah.
Case closed. There we go. We found the red flag. Like,
great. Want to get married? Sure.
For at least one of you or both of you. Like, yeah. This is. I personally don't find this to be like a fault situation with either of them. I just think they're really not compatible. It's like very different values.
Yeah, this isn't the only couple that we can describe that situation as. But I thought the entrapment with the buying of the ice cream was rather funny.
Oh yeah, where it was like his friends weren't even surprised.
No, but like it was because we get it from two different sides where she basically just says, I offered to buy something and then he let me. How dare he? How dare he let me buy ice cream? It's like, okay.
Right, because she saw it as like for her, it's like she can afford ice cream, but it's the principle for her.
I shouldn't have to buy my own ice cream.
You shouldn't let me.
Yeah, the finances thing. People there's no right and wrong. Everyone has different opinions on how dating and relationships should be. There are people I know who feel like no matter what, post marriage, whatever, my money is my money, your money is your money. We don't combine finances. And then there's people I know who feel that way, but also say, but the man's still going to pay for everything. Like my money is my own for fun, but he's still I'm not buying groceries. He should be doing that, And then I know people who it's like completely share, completely whatever. Everybody's different. figure that out. If you're different, guess what? Don't get married.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She does say, looking back, because yeah, they don't end up staying married. And she says, looking back, she feels like he told her what she wanted to hear in the pods. And like she wishes he was more truthful in the pod. She thinks he only did that so they could keep dating and like go through this. And this is another case of, didn't you say he was 38?
Yeah, he's 38. She's 30.
And she's
That's
30.
quite a difference. Yeah.
Like what's happened? Like what was it? Because I mean, we saw the signs early. I feel like early on I could tell this couple was going to be a no at the altar.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a certain point. It's just like, yeah, we're just kind of playing out the string here. We're just getting to the wedding and calling it a day. I think I saw something online where in reality, they both knew it was going to be a no. But then when we got
Mhm.
time to film it, it was made to look as if she had no idea it was going to be a no. And we, of course, didn't get her answer at the altar. So there was a little bit of manipulation going on in that. There's a little massaging going on in that storyline.
Yeah. Because everything we got, they would have a disagreement, or they would not even necessarily a disagreement, just a conversation. Like I said, with the traditional one, where it'd be like, I want this, I want this. No resolution. Then we just have
Yeah.
another date of them and be like,
Well,
and now here's
It's like,
another
yeah,
thing.
that's
You
it.
know?
yeah.
Here's what the finances. No resolution. They're shopping for dresses. What?
Yeah.
Like, I guess we'll just be miserable the rest of our lives. Oh well.
Right.
I think, and this is something that I've been trying to track. I can't say that I have any data for it so far, but that when they do the like dress picking out part, and I can't remember if that's paid for by the show, but if it's not paid for by the show, I feel like you can always kind of tell which people are kind of like, I might buy the cheaper dress. Like,
It's like,
but
whatever you got, I'll take it.
I'm not even saying that particularly about them. I always try to watch for it. I'm like, how much does this person feel like, yes, this is my wedding dress, versus like, I look good in this one, who cares? It's just for
Yeah.
the TV show.
Yeah.
I don't
What do
know.
y'all think about her saying yes?
Did she say
She
yes?
didn't say yes.
Didn't she say yes and he said no?
No,
he said
he
he
says
said no.
he loves her, but now's not the right
Oh,
time for
he
them.
spoke first.
Yes, he
But
spoke
she
first.
was really sad.
Yeah, well, that was her.
That's
That
what made
was
me think she said yes.
Yeah, she says that she's sad that she didn't get the ending she always pictured, and that she was shocked. But then she kind of just like got in her car and walked off. She wasn't like
Yeah.
crying. There wasn't like any resolution after that.
Yeah.
Just kind of
yeah.
parted ways.
Since this was our first no that we're talking about, I thought it was very interesting that all the people that said no were the ones that just walked off. It's as if that was a prearrangement. Like, so if you say no first, you need to turn around and walk away, because
Yeah.
everyone that said no literally just turned around and walked out of
And
the
left.
the venue. Because when Tom did it, I was like, wow, that's a little cold. Like, he just says no, and he's like, all right, later, and just turns on his heel and just walks out. I'm like, oh, that was interesting. But then everyone that said no did it, so that made me think like there was some
Maybe they were told.
pre-arrangement. Yeah, like
Yeah.
like by production. If you say no, then your next move is to walk out the venue. That's what we need from
We
you.
need to have an awkward moment of someone just standing there being left at the altar. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I do really like it. Really does kind of irk me that we are left with two of our three no's we get without resolution for the other one. So we don't know if Maria would have said yes. We don't know if the
Right.
other person would have said yes or no. So that kind of irks me. Like, they should be forced to write it down, and then we should be shown it like behind the scenes. Like, this is what Maria would have said. Yes. Like,
Yeah. And what if instead of saying yes or no, they both like turn and like just hold
That's
up,
what
like,
I
a
was
sign,
thinking.
Yeah.
like a
There was
prearranged
that
sign.
there was that spin-off of Are You the One? It's like Are You the One Games or something. Oh, I don't think it was games, but it was like a spin-off where they had to show their decision at the same time if they're going to take money or something from each other.
Mhm.
We should do that. This is already a show,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It doesn't need to be a proper wedding. Like,
let's
have your
gamify it.
card. Yeah, and let's turn around and say I do or I don't.
Yeah, we talk about that with Married at First Sight all the time, where it's either a stay married or get divorced. Like,
Yes.
the one person says this, then the other person's like, I was going to say get divorced too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, Lord,
exactly.
you're a liar. But yeah, I think that would be fun. What Tom said at the end, like after he said no, about I just felt like if we had children, she would have taught them bad, like, he didn't say bad values, but he would have taught my son he has to pay for everything. He would have taught my daughter that the man needs to pay for everything. And so it kind of gave me vibes of when Paul turned down Micah and he was like, I don't want her to be the mother of my child. Like
Mm-hmm.
less harsh than what Paul said, but it was
Yeah.
still like a ooh. And Maria definitely took it personally because she took him to task for it on the reunion. So that was like a yikes moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these two, like, it was like, okay, on paper, maybe they thought they were a good fit, but it just was like, I don't know. It just wasn't, it
I
wasn't it.
mean, they were a sexy couple, like physically,
Yeah, they
like
look
Yeah.
good.
they match each other, like in I guess looks and physicality. But when you get down to it as people, they just were
Yeah,
not. They were not a match.
not at all.
Yeah, not at all.
All right, let's move on to a very interesting couple, which I'm very curious to get y'all's thoughts on. Demi and Ollie.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel
Ollie,
like
admit.
What
Uh,
what are their ages?
so we got Demi, 30 years old. She is a safeguarding and attendance manager. What the hell is that? Is that like an HR person?
so
Like,
it
I don't
sounds
know.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then we have Ollie, 33, who the profession I hate the most on these shows, software sales. What the hell does that mean?
I still have no clue what that
I
Selling
means.
don't know.
software, duh.
Yeah,
See,
like you
are they
sell.
selling software or are they like
I don't know.
working online in sales? Like, I don't
Well, like
understand.
I always say, like, are you selling Windows 10 out of the trunk of your car? Like, is
Yeah.
that what that means? Like, I
No
don't
one
know.
knows what
No, they're
software
probably
stands for.
selling services for a software.
Huh.
See, I don't even know what that means. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No idea. No idea. They were kind of a surprise to me. I feel like we got a lot from them, but then it seems like by the time we got to the reunion, we're like, we missed something. Like what there was
so
clearly more going on than you showed us.
right. So like
Unless it was just all vibes. I don't know.
Demi was talking very cryptically at the reunion of like, well, I just knew what I needed for myself. And I'm just like, so like, are you going to be specific about how that wasn't Ollie? Like, what's up? What's the deal?
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just a privacy thing of her not wanting to say like what the she didn't come with the list like what's her name? Sabrina did. Almost called her
Yeah.
Olivia again. She didn't come with like a list of all the things that went wrong. So they get together. There's a bit of a love triangle with Catherine. Um, but he ends up it's probably edited where it seemed like it was like a close decision to the end, but he probably picks Demi like probably halfway through the pods. Who knows? Um, they seem like a relatively compatible couple, but they do suffer from the like, oh, meeting in Greece and seeing the other person who was
Yeah.
their love triangle, and then there's some drama. But the drama was kind of weird because it wasn't like Micah and
Kwame.
Kwame. It wasn't like that
Yeah.
kind of drama. It was just sort of like they had a chat and then uh Demi was kind of like trying to just completely stay out of it, but really came down to Jasmine like trying to have her back and
Mm-hmm.
Having her back / stirring shit up. Like that's
Yeah.
what she was doing. Like
Because she was bored.
yes.
it's like watching Catherine and Ollie and Demi's back is to them and Jess like, uh-oh, they're
Talk it
laughing.
through.
They're like
Yeah.
they're smiling. Oh
Yeah.
boy, this is the problem. And Demi's just like, I didn't ask to get the play-by-play, but you're giving it to me anyway. Great. So and here's the thing, like, because I mean, like you mentioned, Mary, it's the classic Love is Blind staple. Like when you have a love triangle and the two of the people get matched and they go on the retreat, they have to I'm sure they're prodded by production with like with those cattle prodders, like get over there and have a conversation with her now. And so I think the playbook is get over there, have the conversation, and get out as fast as you can.
And not
Don't
only get out as
smile.
fast as you can, get out, go back and immediately be very lovey-dovey with your actual
Right.
partner.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Don't
Don't
be
that
smile.
standoffish.
piece doesn't happen.
Yeah, don't smile, don't laugh, have a very grim face as you're talking, move away completely, go over to your mate, give them
Grim face.
a long, deep kiss, and talk about the conversation.
And never talk about that other person again.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And like,
Don't ever meet their eyes ever again.
and I
Not,
don't know
oh,
why.
there's some unfinished business. Did you get that energy? Bobby,
Oh
I need to
boy.
talk to you about that other
Jesus.
woman I talked to. Did you there's still vibes, right?
And don't any party, no matter who you are in this, I don't know why they feel like, it's probably because they were just dating them. They feel like they need to be like, and I just want you to know that I did truly love you and truly care about you. It's like, you don't need to be saying that. And be like,
No,
yeah,
no.
it was great. It was great dating you. Obviously, there were feelings there, but that's not, no longer. Now I'm over here concentrating all efforts in the other person. It's kind of weird and kind of awkward meeting you.
And and I'm
Have a
sure
good one.
and I'm sure production really would frown on this, but everyone bring your partners along. Like
Yeah.
we can all four of us have this conversation. This doesn't need to be just the two of us. Like all four of us can
Yes.
be in on this.
We
Like
can be open. I
we can have
know
open
y'all were
convo.
options, so
But
If
like
this was season 1 of Love is Blind, Amber would have been in that conversation.
she
yeah.
would
And Amber
insert her.
was most of the time in the conversations. Anytime Jessica was trying to talk to Barnett, Amber was like, I'm here now.
She
What are
would
you
have really
doing?
inserted herself. How did the two of you feel about, like, because Catherine's big beef with Ollie was that he was telling people that he's the one that broke it off, but it was really her. Now I'm really trying to remember the conversation, but I do feel like in the breakup convo, Ollie said something to the effect of, I feel like I'm having pretty deep feelings for another person. And then Catherine jumps in and is like, well, you know what? I think we should probably just end this then. Like,
Yeah, she tried to beat him to the punch, but him in
mhm.
his mind, he's probably not thinking, oh, the exact sequence of events. He's thinking, I went in there to break things off with her. We broke things off, so that means I broke things off.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he had ill intentions
He
by,
didn't come back being like, yeah, I dumped her. She's sad about it. Like,
yeah,
no,
but
he was like,
that's
yeah, we broke up. She took it
yeah.
well.
But that's the game of telephone that got back to Catherine that, she felt like she had to clear the air about. And which is such kind of like I don't know, it's kind of high schooly to me. Like, I
Yeah.
heard you were
Yeah.
telling people that you broke it off, but I actually broke it with you, and I didn't appreciate that. And I was just
I
like,
checked no when you asked me out.
yeah. I was just like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I feel like I didn't do that. But then comes a mistake where they start smiling at each other, like, oh, you kind of look like how I thought you would look like. Oh, you look mad fire, isn't it, mate? Like you're right fine, little girly there, little. Never mind.
Even
Yeah.
I lost it.
Did you have it though at any point?
He
Mary, how
lost it.
dare
He
you?
never found it.
How dare you?
He never had it. So what got me with these two, which is why I wasn't as caught off guard that like this just didn't pan
Mhm.
out. I think it was the scene where they were playing games and stuff.
I think I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
So she says she wants a best friend, right?
Mhm.
But she also wants a partner. She wants him to be a best friend and a lover, right? But if she is leaning into this, like, she said she wants a best friend first, right? But she also wants the romance. And if he, in his mind, he's getting these best friend vibes, right? He's not delivering on the romance end because this is his homie now.
Yeah.
It was like they didn't find that balance where, like, I felt like they should have prioritized the romance first. Then y'all can be best friends.
Especially when she opened in the pods by saying like she has a lot of male friends and they all just kind of see her as one of the guys. And so it's like,
And
I, yeah.
He wondered aloud at that point if that was going to be like end up being what he felt.
But
And
what's weird is it didn't at least seem to us in the show like he seemed fine. He seemed down with it. It didn't seem like I mean, we never really got his answer, so who knows? Or did we get his answer?
we
I don't
didn't.
remember.
No.
No. So we don't know what he would have said. But yeah, it seemed like
It seemed like they may have fallen into the friend zone a little bit by
yeah.
the end. And I honestly don't know. I can't give you a really good reason why Demi said no. I felt like she really didn't give us a great
Yeah,
reason.
she didn't.
Yeah, it was kind of very vague.
But she was always kind of quiet where it feels like she's the kind of person who she's not going to out her like her private feelings like
Yeah.
in that way. Like whether there were reasons or if it was more this abstract I'm not feeling it kind of thing. Seems like she was just like, yeah, had a lot I needed to learn about myself and
Mhm.
he was a
I felt
great
like she
guy.
had I felt she had some subtle, very subtle digs at Ollie at certain points where she was like, I know how, a man who loves me is going to treat me or something like that. I was like, so what are you trying to say? Like, what
Yeah.
is that? But then she would follow that quickly by saying, but Ollie's a great guy. He's a great
Yeah.
guy. Don't get me wrong. Um,
Ollie.
Ollie.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they were trying to paint him as like not an F boy, but they were trying
player
to
a little bit.
like kind of trying to paint him like a player. And I just don't think that's who Ollie is at his
Yeah.
core. Like I
Yeah,
think was well intentioned in this relationship
but
and they just didn't have the time to actually establish something that would have
yeah,
been can land in a marriage.
Yeah, they didn't. They were in the beginning on the in the part where they were in Greece on the retreat. Like that would have been maybe the time to be a little bit more romantic and like start off the relationship that way. But because of all the Catherine stuff and the insecurities, that didn't really happen. And then they got back, and then they got kind of comfortable. So
yeah. But in that Pod Squad meetup where we hear at one moment of like, hey, no other girl's gonna turn my head, eh? And then Charlotte walks in the door, and he goes, "Oh, Mike, she mad fine, isn't it? Oh my gosh, he was blown away by Charlotte. I was like, okay, that's not a great look for Ollie. Not a great look. I just feel like he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't pick up on a lot of cues what he's supposed to say. Like he sometimes says inappropriate stuff. I don't think he means harm or ill will at all. He just sometimes puts his foot in his mouth. I did want to kind of follow back onto the Grease stuff of
uh-huh.
where he kind of freaks out about how people are really because people were really getting his grill about how he was not talking to Demi, and I really was team Ollie for most of this. He did not handle the Catherine conversation and the aftermath of that well at all. I will
Mm-mm.
100% fault him for that because he should have immediately been talking to Demi, and he
Mhm.
almost went out of his way to avoid talking to Demi right after that. So that was definitely his bad. But for everyone to just crowd him, Jasmine especially, and demand that he spill all his feelings and tell them all how he feels about her was a little wild for me.
Yeah, it was, and then of course, storming off after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about I want to go home. Like, okay, all right,
Yeah, that
I'm
was
holding
so
you.
odd.
I did think there was a solid chance he was just going to leave, and that was going to be it. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
he's not for the show. Uh, so
Yeah. I just felt like yeah, this was a product of not having enough time to really make it work. And there I mean, obviously there were some like, you know, because of the comparison and her like Demi being worried that like Catherine was his type, there may have been like some insecurities that came into play that like he didn't do the best job of reassuring her that like he is in this. But um he was the one confused at the altar when she said no, and he said why.
he had
I loved
he
the
had the
why. I
best.
loved the fact that they had a conversation right there. That was so cute.
Yeah, he had the best reaction I think we've ever seen on one of these Love Is Blind weddings. Of just like I'm really just perplexed. Like, but why though? Like,
Yeah.
what? I don't know. I don't know if that was like a little bit of theater, because it seemed really just
He said
what?
he the confused
What
face
do
was
you
like,
mean?
I'm looking around trying to figure out where is this, why.
Me? You said no to me? What? I was going to say no to you.
I
But
know that almost made me wonder. Is like, was he gonna say no? I don't know. Because we didn't find out
Right.
in the
They
reunion.
should have
yeah,
really this hey, what's your answer? Okay, you go
yes,
first.
yeah, and we see it at the reunion, and like
Yeah.
from the behind the scenes of what they would have said. But listen, number one, everyone needs to get you a friend like Aaron, okay?
Mm.
Who Ollie had just met in the pods a few weeks ago, and now is his best friend of like, and that was another weird thing. We met Ollie's dad at the wedding, but other than that, there was no
Yeah.
family or friends on Ollie's side. He brought Aaron, his pod squad buddy, to everything.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
She
weird.
and she even said that, right? Because she was like, he's met my family, and I'm like not gonna meet anyone from his family until the wedding.
Yeah, I thought that was a little odd. So I
What?
was like,
But no
"Hmm."
friends. You have no friends in the
Right.
wedding.
Right. So it's
And
just like
is he
how
not from there? Maybe he doesn't. I don't.
I don't know. It's like how
Uh,
seriously are you taking this? Was my
yeah.
thing of like are you just here for a good time? What's up?
I
Like,
I think the thing is like, okay, family and friends aside, I don't know what the situation is there. I just I just feel like this specific couple could have worked. Me, give them a year. You
mhm.
know,
Yeah.
like I feel like it would have because the way they communicated with each other, that was great. I feel like she received his when he was talking about um was it ADHD?
Yeah, 88.
Mhm.
When he was talking about that, that went well. When she was talking about her health concerns, that went well.
Yeah,
Like
I
he
liked the
received
way
it
they
well.
communicated. Like the way
Yes,
they
it was
responded to
great.
things was very interesting.
But
Yeah.
Asia, they did have a year. Because after the wedding, it was just they were both
Oh, it was
talking
like
like,
yeah.
yeah, they're both like, yeah, this is just the beginning. Like this isn't a bad time. This is great. Like we're gonna get to know each other. Like as Demi said, watch this space. I watch this space. Like it was just like we thought they were going to start something after this. I think this would have maybe been our first couple that says something like this. Like it's a no for right now, but
Yeah.
you never know. This could have been our first couple that actually followed through with that
Right.
and
But
decided to date
instead,
afterwards.
he was
Nothing.
like,
Yeah.
"Remember that girl who walked down the
Yeah.
I
stairs and was
know.
fine."
Introducing Charlotte.
Wow, you had the
Charlotte.
picture ready and everything.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
I put her up earlier. Y'all didn't notice
No, I didn't
when you had
Oh
talked
notice.
man.
about her.
That's funny.
That's awesome. That's
But
funny.
yeah, him and Charlotte are now dating, and I don't know why Charlotte said on the reunion that she couldn't have watched those episodes if it weren't for him.
You weren't in the
You
episodes, girl.
were in them.
Like it was so weird because at
Did
the
she
pod,
mean like I wasn't gonna watch the show because I wasn't in it, but because I had him by my side, I could stomach
That's why I
it?
watched.
maybe because she came
He
into
was
the pod.
watching, so I had to watch.
Yeah, she came into the Pod Squad meetup with Natasha,
Mhm.
and they made a
Tash.
big with Tash. They made a big deal of them walking into the space, and I was like, why are we seeing this person? I have
Yeah.
no idea who this person is. But then come to find out, we would get to know who they are, like who Charlotte is later down the line. So I guess there
Yeah.
was a reason for that.
So maybe they're still together. I didn't do like a social
Well,
media
how I felt like that reunion was very like
recent.
very 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 recent, like maybe
Yeah.
like a week ago recent. Like, it had a very
Yeah,
live TV vibe is what I felt from
it
that.
did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I wonder, just like, do you think did they say that Ollie and Demi were on like friends terms or
I mean,
Uh
they don't seem
I think
upset,
I
but
think I saw some press that they said they're very good friends. They talk all the time. They talk every day. She did kind of serve him a little bit of like some shade at the reunion, but it was very very minor and mild. But
Mhm.
that was about it.
Okay, yeah, the update says the two um that Charlotte and Ollie connected once filming ended, and he and Demi had settled into a relationship. While Ollie isn't making anything official, the two are currently dating. And he says Charlotte was one of my main connections that didn't get to air, but we had a very, very strong connection in the pods.
That's good.
So,
and this
yeah.
is why you should sprinkle in at least a few clips of everyone just in
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. But I thought they were well matched, I guess. But so
Him and Demi.
it was kind of a shame. Yeah, I really
Yeah.
like Demi as a person. But I just don't. I think, like you said, Asia, there may have been too many friend vibes going into the
Yeah.
wedding, and just like Demi just
Mhm.
kind of felt like something was off, maybe. But he really did look kind of relieved at when he was chilling with his best bud Aaron. Right afterwards, he kind of looked. I think his answer probably was going to be no, if I was to guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's so hard to say. But I do, especially with him being so shocked. He probably thought he was preparing to break the news.
Mhm.
But I think it's nice that, like I said, I think they could have really hit it off if they had time to settle into that dynamic. And then two, I think that I really liked how she came out of the reunion. Like, look, this happened, but I feel like I'm Demi 2.0. Like, I've learned a lot about myself. I was like, yes, go thrive from here, because it's not a huge loss if that's just not your person.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's going to be someone who does, have like the love languages like that she needs, and they can express it equally, because clearly she wanted for him to express more emotions with her, or express more like physical touch and like be all over each other, because they were even questioning that during the retreat, like, oh, should we be doing that, like other people are doing that, when it's like, if it's a good fit, y'all would be on the same page.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if we ever saw them really like making out or really being very lovey-dovey at all. Really,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
really think so.
they said they did privately.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
but they weren't
hinted
doing
at
it with
it
other people.
in that
Yeah.
one
Actually,
conversation.
thinking about it, I just don't know if there was all that much like kissy lovey dovey with really much of these couples. I think. What do you guys think about
At
Well,
least
they did
scared.
not do some of the massive close-ups like we got with
it?
Brett and
Yeah.
Tiffany and stuff.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the thigh, like none of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They said this is a family show.
Very demure, very classy, if you will.
What do you know about that?
I learned about it recently. I
Wow, I'm
did. I really did.
impressed.
I had to educate myself because I inadvertently embarrassed Kirsten on a Big Brother podcast recently, where
Yes, I
where
texted her about that. I said, I am so disappointed in Jason and Rob for not getting
and
your
Taryn, don't
reference.
let Taryn
And
go.
Taryn, yes. I
Yeah,
said, no one reacted.
because she said it, and we all looked at her
They're
like,
like, the silence
okay,
was so loud.
yes.
And I was like, it was great. She said she was right on the trend. It had just started.
It
Uh-huh.
just
Very
started.
mindful, very demure.
Yeah.
Y'all said nothing.
Nothing. And
I was
and you know
like,
what? And the
okay.
way that trends goes nowadays, that was your moment. You can't
Yeah.
bring it back in a
Literally,
month. It'll be
yeah,
done.
Yeah, I just
you're
said it. It's been
fine.
dead. It's been dead for a couple weeks now, and I
Yeah.
just said it. Like, so you know, I'm right on where I usually am with trends, which is like a week or two late. So
Not very mindful, not very
no,
demure.
not at all.
So, oh, so that's Ollie and Demi. So we'll see, like, if Ollie and Charlotte end up working out. But let's move on to our second to last couple, which is Freddy and Catherine.
Freddy and Catherine.
Freddie.
Catherine is a
Cat.
her name is Kat, mate. Kat is 29 and she's a dental nurse, don't you know it? And Freddie, Freddie boy is 32 years old and he's a funeral director.
When he came out in his full-on garb, I was like, what kind of funerals are they having in the UK? Because that is not what I've seen anyone. Am I wrong? Am I just like, is this like? I mean,
It looked almost military vibes, like an
Yeah.
official
Mhm.
military dress. So it was
long coats
very,
and everything, and I was
yeah,
like, wow, this
very
is
official.
in my mind. I don't know if this was true. Did he have like a staff?
He had a stick, and he
Yeah,
had
okay.
the tails went all the way down to the floor.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Anyway, that was
Very
wild.
interesting.
But
Yeah.
I think that Freddie had two stories, and I was confused at the end. And it basically just shows you people are complex. Not everybody fits in a box because his story was like,
Everybody fits in a box in Freddy's line of work, don't you know?
uh, bazinga.
Ding! Where's my bell?
Yeah, I think at first I feel like they were sort of trying to give Freddie mostly at the retreat, like kind of like player vibes because his whole thing was that he said he had cheated before, and
But-
then she was like really scared of that.
I don't think it was player vibes. I
Well,
thought
I
it was
don't know
like
what it.
I thought it
Yeah,
was like little puppy boy, little puppy. Like, yes, I'm sorry, I have
he's like
cheated.
he was
I've been
goofy
a
and
bad
like he
boy.
was. I was like very thrown off when they go on this like shopping trip and they're shopping and she's just like everything he says she's getting
He's
mad
trying to
at.
have
She
fun.
hates
But
him.
yeah, and I feel like this was like I feel like I've seen this scene before. But is Kwame and whoever was with Kwame, the girl who liked pink,
Why do I want to say Chelsea? Was it
Yes,
Chelsea?
it is.
Chelsea.
Kwame and
Yeah.
Chelsea.
right?
Yeah.
Like they just went on a shopping trip. I don't remember if it went the same way or not. But like she
It
was
kinda did.
saying,
It was
I-
like he was he was like preoccupied.
well,
with
right,
He
'cause
wasn't
you
paying
just
he wasn't paying attention. Freddie was trying to be fun, and
He's trying to
Kwame was
be
I
being a
answered
little
fun with
jerk.
her,
Yeah.
and then she wasn't having it, but she was also like, "I want you to be here and be doing this with me."
Yes.
It's like you don't want him to be; you want someone. I don't know what she wanted.
I'm not sure who Catherine pissed off in production, but she really got it. She got the villain edit, and you will
Yeah.
notice as I'm going to fast forward to the wedding. She is the only person who gave her answer first and then got shot down.
Mhm.
That is deliberate.
Feels like to me, it wasn't even so much villain. It was just like the Delulu edit of like
Mm.
what do you want? Like everything about
Yeah.
him seems to bother you, but you're in love with him. Your friends are telling you that you are not good together, but you're insisting that he's great. It's like what so confusing. And then when they get back home, so contrary to the like the cheating thing kind of ended in that whole storyline just ended in
Well,
Greece.
I think like because in Greece he sobs to her because she is treating him some type of way because he cheated once. Because she gives the line, "Once a cheater, always a cheater," and this really causes him distress. He literally sobs, and she has to console him. She's like, "Oh crap! Like now, I look like the villain. Now Freddy is crying. I look like the terrible person." So she had to kind of course correct, but it didn't last very long at all because she really came off as like kind of an ice queen, like very like kind of cold
Yes.
most of this.
It was also interesting the dynamic of like him thinking that she was too bougie,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah. Well, I think I don't even know if it was like bougie. It was like he seemed to have his life together pretty well. He's got a house, he's got a stable job. His family is in love with him. They're just like, he's the
I mean,
best.
let me tell you, Catherine's mood very much changed when she walked into his house, and she was like, "Oh, okay."
Also, I'm calling him out there. No, that was a lie. He did not pick out the sparkly mirror to match the decor. Like, no, a woman picked that out. Let's be honest. I mean, it might have been your mom or your sister, but a woman picked that out. I mean, not me,
Betsy
because I wouldn't even
Dora.
buy it.
You
A
think Betsy
sparkly mirror.
Dora, his sister, picked out his mirror? Betsy Dora. I was like, "Oh, that's
Maybe,
so
but
cute." Betsy Dora.
yeah, I liked her. But like, and then we have like a whole episode titled like "He Wants a Prenup," but it was like, did they sign? That we never got. Did they
No
decide
resolution.
they weren't going to do that? And I don't blame him.
well, I think she told her friends she decided not to do it.
But
But
like,
that was wild though. That
but
was
did
wild
he
on Freddy's
decide that
part.
he was fine with that? Here's the thing that I
Right.
was most confused with. Here's me covering the show for years, and I know I've read the articles and stuff. I definitely was still under the impression that this was not a legally binding marriage that they do in these shows. Like, I definitely thought it'd be like,
It is on Married at First Sight.
oh, so maybe it
They
is.
go to
And
the courthouse. There's a whole
oh,
scene of them signing.
They
because
pretty
I
much
was just thinking like,
hold them at gunpoint and make them sign their marriage certificate, like on Married at First Sight.
because I've always argued, I'd be like, oh, it's fine. It's just like you get married and then like, and then go back to dating until you decide if you actually want to be married.
Yeah,
But
so I mean, I think it depends
oh,
because on some of the international Married at First Sight seasons, they just do like a commitment ceremony, and it's not a legally binding marriage on like the international Married at First Sight seasons. But
huh.
this, I'm pretty sure, is all the Love Is Blind seasons have been legally binding.
So when you get married instantly, legally, what's mine is yours? Is that really how that works? I feel like there's probably like tons of other additional paperwork involved. Because you gotta like change your name and stuff, and that takes a long time.
Well, it's like that long.
No, but
Well,
I guess it's
I
like
guess I'm
if
just
they
saying,
get
like,
it,
it's like
the point of the
additional.
prenup is like if they get divorced. I don't think it applies if they get annulled, but that's
You
just
would think a show like this that you could file for annulment, but I don't know, maybe not.
yeah. They're one of the couples is I can't remember which one of the couples we've already discussed. It's in the article that they are getting an annulment. They're getting their marriage annulled.
Probably Steven
Probably
and Sabrina.
Sabrina.
I think it was. I think
Yeah.
it was.
So
But-
yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just seemed like I don't know. I feel like maybe just I'm judging based on his look. I assumed that he was a little more like outgoing or something, but he seemed
Freddy-
kind of private and quiet, and
Yeah.
it seemed more less like the lifestyle stuff didn't really seem as much like that she's going out and partying all the time. Just that he never does is what it feels like.
And it
Is
was
like
such
he is a homebody.
it was such a conversation because he's like, you have all this, like, you go out to clubs, you go out to brunches, and she's like, I do that every once in a while. He's like, well, that's too much for me.
Right.
Sorry, Aysha.
Even her
Another
friends.
one. Freddy's out for you. Okay, Freddy's
No brunch.
not your guy.
What's wrong with a good brunch every Saturday, Freddie?
Yeah, Freddy. What's wrong with some mimosas with the girls? Okay. But Freddy's style was interesting to me because he would either wear like these like nut hugger shorts or cargo pants that had like 20 pockets on them. It's like,
He is not the person I noticed for style the
like
most
what are we
yet. We haven't
going
got
here
to
for?
them yet.
What are we going here for? It was so weird. It was so awkward.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting. Like it just felt like they were just constantly having it really gave me Jimmy and Chelsea was her name?
So many
Chelsea's
were there.
Yeah. Anytime we think back to a couple, just Chelsea.
Yeah, that's why I'm so hesitant with like with the Kwame and Chelsea. I was like, no, that was the other one. But they're both Chelsea?
This
And
gave me Jimmy and Chelsea vibes. Like, even though they weren't arguing all the time, this is still like there's always conflict.
Was
So it's
Chelsea
like,
the one who was like, who was the one who was like, here's my house, but I'm going to need you to pay for the rent or the mortgage or whatever? Was that Chelsea? I don't remember.
oh wait, with what's his name? He's bald.
Yeah, who is the guy, the one with the bald guy?
The bald
Oh,
guy,
uh,
Izzy.
Izzy,
No,
Izzy,
but
and
her name is
Stacy,
not
Stacy.
Oh, okay.
Stacy.
She
Yeah.
seemed like a Chelsea too.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
very much so. Yeah.
Oh
I,
my god.
I
Yeah,
thought the I thought the
literally, I was
Jimmy
thinking Izzy and Chelsea.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought the Jimmy and Chelsea parallel was actually going to be for like Demi and Ollie because we had some insecurity issues with Demi, and we had her mate that was talking to someone else, like, and Demi being a little insecure about that, but of course she didn't take it to levels that Chelsea took it to, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be with these two. I think they just
Mhm.
come from they have different interests. It's not even come from different walks of life. They just are into different things, and if they can't find that balance, then
Yeah, and like, how do you escape the pods not understanding that? That's what I don't.
Right.
That's what I don't get. Like, you
yeah,
should have known that before getting out of the pods.
yeah, they look great together.
Oh, if you're ever in a bad mood, just look up that picture of Jimmy and Chelsea where he's staring over her shoulder with her respect. Oh, I forgot about that. It's so funny.
I thought the wedding and the aftermath of the wedding was pretty wild for them because I feel like I know why they left them for last because it was the most dramatic ending because we got her
Yeah, but
storming
it was
off.
no Giannina and Damien.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Giannina had a full out, temper tantrum out in a wet forest. Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but because the thing is, Freddie does his thing because he said no, he has to be the first one to storm off the set and then come back and try to hug her, which is like, don't hug me. Like,
Mhm.
this is not the time for this, my man. You can tell she was pissed.
Yeah.
And so he walks out, and then she storms out afterwards, just totally ignoring him as he's sobbing to the side. Her dad tries to come out and console her. She's like, get away from me. I want to be alone right now. It's like, wow.
Yep.
Like, ooh, okay, sorry, I'll back off. It was nice and wild. And then, I mean, listen, Freddie is the ultimate like good guy. Like, he wants to be a good guy. He comes and visits with the parents of like, hey, like, sorry. It almost felt like the parents are like, nah, bro, we get it. Like, she's tough. Like, we know, we know, bro. We get
Right,
it. We
but also
understand.
like her being adopted and stuff. I mean, it definitely was helpful to understand that about her, to see where
The
some of her
dynamics,
insecurities
yeah.
come from and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then well, how did you two feel about the fact that he gifted her with these diamond earrings before the wedding?
Yeah,
So,
no, I don't know.
That was sending
well,
some mixed signals.
I saw, I mean, because his logic on the reunion, right, was like, he's like, it would have been obvious if he didn't.
I
Then
didn't
if
understand
he,
the logic. I got to
because
be
he's like,
honest.
if he didn't give her a gift, then she knows he's not saying yes. But
But
then
is that just a game though? Like, like I'm trying to trick you. I'm trying to fool
he didn't
you.
want to spoil the answer.
Just
Right.
give her a card. Why did you need a gift anyway?
Right. And then
Yeah.
she took it back, or she said it only felt right to give it back to him.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's funny because it's like, you didn't have to do that.
No,
Because that
if
only,
anything,
because even her,
it sent the wrong
exactly,
message.
literally her friends were like, well, if he's giving you a gift.
At that point, I was like, "Ooh, he's saying no." Uh-oh.
Yeah, I feel like he kind of gave her the rope-a-dope there. It was like she was like, I came in, I was kind of feeling like it could go one way or another. Oh, okay. Maybe this is gonna work out. All right.
Yeah.
But
So.
Listen, I can't leave Catherine and Freddie without talking about the Pod Squad meetup with her and Sam, which was highly, extremely inappropriate.
yeah, I mean, that was just like, especially the she gets called out at the reunion for saying some things, and she's just like,
Mm.
"Oh, I just didn't remember that I said that and stuff." And it's like, maybe you didn't, but then you're playing a character. If you say things like, "Oh, my mouth's gonna get me in trouble," or like, "I'm not
Yeah.
that. I don't try to be flirty. I'm just a flirtatious person." It's like, you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
Stop. What was this nonsense?
I felt like Catherine was the most wanting some fame after this. Like that's
of
the
the of
vibe.
of the women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of the women. Yeah, that's the vibe. So maybe she and Sam are very rightly paired for each other.
Yeah.
But that is the vibe I got from Catherine.
Yeah, because and this is what I'm saying. It's like I can't tell if she was just a little bit delulu or something, because it was like telling the person you're with, oh my gosh, that guy, he's the spitting image of my ex. Oh my gosh, he's the spitting image of my ex. And then I felt like, in sort of a jokey way, Freddie was trying to be like, oh, that girl's attractive. And she's like, wow, how dare you say that? And she's like, you
Right.
just said that this guy looked like you're like, I'm just giving back what you're giving me.
She's
And
like,
then she
I
stormed
heard
off.
you. You said it already.
And then right next to him at the bar, she's talking to Sam. She's like, "Oh, I like this ring. I wish I had this ring. Maybe we should trade rings." Like, girl, you're you are great. Your man is right here.
Literally.
You shouldn't even be saying this stuff if he was 50,000 miles away. But that was just incredibly weird and wild. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and Sam and Catherine were dating. It just seemed like a thing that would be happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I had another quote. This is the only time I wrote down a quote. They're talking about like how they're trying to work on things to get better, and she's like, and he's like, yeah, and like, what's the thing that you're gonna work on? And she says, I know, I need to stop being bossy. I need to stop snapping at you. You won't shut up about it. And it was like,
Yeah.
You just proved his point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't seem like you have any idea what it is that upsets. Yeah.
It just seemed like almost immediately she just hated him and couldn't stand him. It was just
Yeah.
like, why are
But
you
also
doing this?
loved. I don't know. It was so confusing. Could not tell. She wanted him to be the way she wanted him to be, and then she would love that version of him, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
So, anywho.
but listen, but like I said earlier, it's very telling that production made the decision. Yeah, production made the decision that she was the only one that would give the yes answer to get shot down with the no.
Yeah.
I felt like they knew what they were doing with that move.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, we got Nicole and Benaiah.
Let's see.
This is the person who I noticed the wardrobe of the most, because he wore the same pants in every single scene. He had the same white pants. And look, I understand he lived a nomadic lifestyle. Did he pack two outfits?
It's probably all he has. It's all it's going to fit.
Look, he was not prepared to be going on a Greece getaway.
Plaid shirt, and then those like really light wash, I don't know if they were khakis or jeans or whatever they were. Same outfit. No judgment. Maybe he's the kind of guy who just has like a, like a cartoon wardrobe. I don't know. But like, it was noticeable. Maybe it was all the same day. Maybe they had a one-day courtship.
One day affair. Yeah.
Who knows?
Let's see. We have Nicole, 29, head of brand and marketing. And then we have Banana, 33, structural
Nope,
landscape.
his name is not Banana. That's not what his name is.
Huh?
He's Banana. Benaiah.
Benihana.
Oh my, okay, it's on purpose.
What?
Okay.
What do you mean?
Benny. Yeah.
Bandana?
Ben. He's been to you.
Bennigan's?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that place.
Banana almost sounded like an accident with his accent.
Banana. I like
So-
a banana.
So were y'all to start? Were y'all shocked that he proposed when they first met up?
Honestly, I had written down, so like when there is a love triangle, the way I write the names, because like when you have Steve and Olivia, I just put their names down, and then when you've got a love triangle, I'll put like Benaiah and Sam and Nicole, and then I delete whoever's name does not end up being relevant. I had already deleted his name and put Sam on there when she accepted, and then I had to undelete his name and put it back in there. I'm not, only because he was giving very like protector, but he seemed real into it.
Mhm.
So.
He was giving simp vibes, hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a classic. It's what we call the Bliss and Zach, right? That's what this move is.
Yes.
But it was immediate, like
Yes,
fast
it was
enough
immediate.
that they could join the other couples on the getaway.
Mhm.
Like
Which
I was shocked that they were able to show up.
And I'm surprised that we kind of get like one little flashback to it, but I was a little surprised that like, was it the initial meeting between Nicole and Sam, or was it I'm kind of confused. Did Sam make it to Greece, or do they have a day where they can just like hook up at a hotel room before they fly out to
Yeah,
Greece?
so
No,
what
I
I
think they talked before flying out. Like, I don't think he ever went to Greece.
yeah, what I think happens is once they do the meetups and then once the whole cast gets released, because I think because from what I understand, all the engagements take place on the same day at the
Yeah,
end of the experiment. Like we see Steven and Sabrina get engaged first, but they got engaged on the same day
right.
everyone else did. So they all get released, and the people that are going to Greece have some like time before they go to Greece. I guess they're still in a hotel room, I guess, before they go to Greece together. So I think that's where the Sam Nicole stuff was happening.
Yeah.
So it was
So,
quick. It was pretty quick that they met, and then
yeah.
they realized, nope.
I mean, and honestly, in the pods, I felt he was the right decision anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
he was clearly they're still together to this day, but it was like, I guess it was one of those things where, just like Zach and Bliss, like where Zach just chose wrong. Um,
And I can understand. It seems in not exactly the same reasons, but this idea of, well, one person is really reassuring me and telling me the right things about, and then the other person is being more realistically hesitant, and it seems scary to accept the hesitant person. And
Yeah,
I don't
but
really remember exactly if that's what went down with Bliss and Zach, but I don't
I
really
think I
remember
think
why he
I
didn't
think I
chase
think
her.
Zach's thing was that he was intimidated by Bliss and her
mhm.
her
He
family,
was
her
afraid of
friend
the
situation.
perception if he
Yeah,
met her family.
yeah, that he would
Right.
get judged because
Yeah.
of his background and her background. But for a Benini, like, why would you come here if you weren't ready to get married? This is a show to come hopefully get married. That's the point.
I think he was ready to get married. I think he was having a hard time putting things into words. I think he was just
Yeah.
like a little shy and a little bit like he
And
was not a smooth talker, and so that's what it seemed more like, is that when she would ask him things like, "Can you see yourself proposing?" I think he was trying to be realistic, being like, I hope so. Like I want to be able to see myself propose, and I like you, but I think he was just kind of not saying it correctly. And she says during the reunion, like, maybe she should have approached it more like, "Hey, I really like you. I would
Mhm.
hope that like by the end maybe we could be engaged," and sort of give him that confidence a little bit too.
I think that's why we saw that scene. They're like, let's show y'all what happened after your first date. And he was so confident after, like, yes, that was great. And it was like, yeah, look, he was on the same page. He just didn't do a great job communicating how he felt.
That was so stinking cute, though. I love
It
that.
was.
Yeah.
And I
Wow, Jason. You thought
what?
that was so cute. You liked it?
Love. It's not
Yeah.
just drama that he likes.
Yeah, I like some love. I thought it was
Wow.
very nice. Listen, I like love. I just love mess. Like, like, and that's what I want. You know, like I like love. Okay, don't get me wrong, but I need my mess now. Okay, I need some
Fair.
voices raised. I need some arguments. I feel like the decibel level didn't get above like 3, like
Yeah.
in this whole season, and that's not it for me.
Especially
I
for
need
these
some
two.
Chelsea screaming at Jimmy. Like that's the energy I need to y'all to bring. Okay, but anyway, whatever. But either way, like yeah, I thought he was very. I loved the scene where it was decision time for Nicole, and it felt like Sam and Bahina knew it was coming, and they were like both racing to the pods to try to get to their
That
pod.
was edited really well.
Yeah, it really was. To be like, Nicole, are you here?
Can someone please explain to me? I still can't figure this out. When they show those top-down shots into the pods, are those real?
I just don't know.
I
That's what I
don't.
wonder
In the
too.
US, it is shot in like a warehouse type of thing where there are pods.
So
It's
is there
built
a
for
Like, are
Love
glass
there
is
pods
ceiling?
Blind.
right?
Like, how do they not hear each other? Is there? I'm
Or are there
assuming there's.
pods right next to each other, or are they overlaying that? Like,
Yeah.
is
Are
their
they?
pod
Or
like
is it
through
like? Are they
home?
far
I think
away?
they
And
are because the pods they're talking through mics. They're hearing each other
Right.
so
through
there must be some sort
speakers.
of roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some
I'm
kind
just
of
so
partition there
confused.
above.
And when you show, but that's the first time that I can remember where we see the top down view, when we see two people sitting in the
Yeah,
chairs, and like,
that was high. That
anyway,
was high cinema right there. I
it
Yeah.
was
love that.
great.
I was like, oh, who's
I
it
just
gonna
like
Now,
I feel like they both walked out the door and like looked to each other like, oh damn,
be?
it's the moment.
My
And they just
nemesis.
yeah, and they just start racing to their pot to
Yeah.
their rooms like who's gonna get there first? Who's gonna get the girl first?
But I'm surprised they did in that order. I actually thought that they would do the breakup first and you end on the high note.
Yeah.
Like if it was me.
I feel like
Yeah.
we've
I'd
had
want
that
to.
because we've had the
Yeah.
situation before where someone has to come in. I think it was the Chelsea, Trevor, Jimmy
Chelsea again.
triangle. Yeah, another Chelsea. I thought it was that one where she like did she break up with Trevor first or did she get with Jimmy first? I can't remember.
I think she broke up with Trevor first because this one specifically, I was like, okay, if she's picking Sam, what if she has a really good conversation with Benaiah and then decides, oh shoot, I want him?
And
Yeah.
that's
We
almost
could
what
go
it felt
back.
like.
It did. It felt like she was changing her mind.
Yeah, because that conversation with Sam didn't go great. Like,
Yeah.
because he at one moment he says, "Was this a conversation where she said something to her and she was like, oh, he said I want to pick you up," and she's like, "Well, I don't know if you can." And he was like, "Huh? What?"
That was a different. I think that was
It was
earlier.
this
or
might have
maybe-
been the one where
might have been right
she
before
says, "I
that.
love you," and he goes, "I think I love you," and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I might have made a big mistake." Like,
Did they ask him about that on the reunion?
And like the thing about Sam is just let's take a second for Sam.
Wait, you want to take a second for Sam?
Oh, that.
oh boy. For those only listening, Aysha has put up a picture of Jason Mraz, Mr. A to Z, because she is convinced that Sam is the doppelganger of
there
Jason
is
Mraz.
some semblance there. Yeah, some resemblance.
It really is.
No, the thing about Sam is like there is a world. I will give him 5% chance that he truly does feel like he's this misunderstood person who was genuinely looking for love. That could be true. It might even be high. It might be like 20% chance. I just think that he has zero comprehension of how he comes across when he says certain things. Like I didn't personally, when I was watching him say like these things that are just their lines, these lines that he's saying to Nicole and to Jasmine, and Jasmine almost immediately calls him out, was like, I feel like you're just telling me what I want to hear. And he's so offended by it. Oh, I'll never find someone I love. I'm like, it doesn't feel like you're having any kind of real conversation. You're just saying words. Does he not understand that that's not like, maybe is he reading too many books about like how to be a pickup artist? Like those things don't work.
What was the conversation I think he may have been having with Jasmine where she's like, was it something about how are people going to look at your relationship? He's like, it's going to be the romance of all lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what are you
it's
talking about, bro?
Right. It's like you're asking a question. It's like, where do you want to be in 5 years? Oh, I want everyone to just be so envious and we're going to write a book about how great our romance is. And it's like, how about you just say something like, oh, yeah, I really hope I find my person. Like that. Anything would have been better.
I just love the moment that Demi yells at him, just apologize.
Oh my god! I was scared. I was like, what's happening? Like, I feel like everybody on that stage is probably shocked that she just interrupted. Just apologize to her. Like, okay,
I burst out laughing because I was just like, where did that come from?
Came out
She
of
was
the blue.
fed up with him.
Done.
Oh, that was so funny.
Yeah,
but it is so funny that even someone like Sam, who is like the closest we're going to have to a real villain of this season, was...
Catherine's pretty up there, I think.
But he was so the counterpart of him in the US would have been yelling at people at the reunion. They've been getting into fights. They would be doing all this stuff, and instead he just kind of says his piece, apologizes, walks out.
It was very much giving Trevor from the last season, who
I gotta get out of here,
who was like caught with his pants down and came to the reunion with his tail tucked between his legs, just apologizing left and right. But it's something weird about Sam and his appearance. It almost looks like if the devil like came to Earth. This is what he would look like. This false persona of a person, tall, good looking, talking in like cliches and like trying to tempt people to come away with him or something.
Well, he said like one of the first things we hear from him is he says like, yeah, I've really worked hard on my appearance recently. I got a nose job. I started working out, all this stuff. And he does kind of give off this vibe of someone who's like not exactly comfortable in who he like in his skin and who he is and in the persona he's putting off. I don't really know exactly what it is, but yeah, it does feel like he's trying to be like a fake version of a person. But I don't necessarily know, like normally if this was US, I would just say, oh, he's here for fame and followers, 100%, does not care about marriage. Is that true? Or is he someone who just wants love but has no comprehension of like how to have a real relationship? I don't know.
I would say that he was just misunderstood if he didn't do all that nonsense with Banana at the Pod Squad meetup.
Well, right. There was during the Squad meetup and during the reunion, he said a couple things that I'm like, I can't tell if it's like, is it TV show malicious where you're trying to be a character, or again, or you just don't really get it. Like telling someone, his whole thing is that he says, oh, well, don't you know, Nicole tried to hook up with me the first night, but I said no because I was trying to be respectful about her. Is it that he's just trying to say something to make himself look good, or is he trying to hurt her and make her look
I think
bad?
he's
Like
trying to embarrass her. It was
Yeah,
yeah,
my
exactly.
I
view
was
of
like,
that.
this is not, either way, it's not a great thing you're saying, but like I could not read what his intention was with any of it. Because when you say something like that, in my mind, I hear that and I go, don't you know this is a TV show and that's gonna come across really badly? Like,
No awareness.
Yeah,
yeah,
no awareness.
I don't
I think
know.
he thought he would look cool, like,
Yeah.
but it just really came across as scummy and terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for Nicole and Benaiah, they are happy as ever. Like they had a very like once we got past the salmon of it all, they had a very smooth storyline like Bobby and Jasmine.
Yeah, but I mean, Benicio was not letting that thing go. The whole
No.
thing about Sam of like, I need you to see Sam like I see Sam. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Hate
requirement.
him like I hate him.
Yeah, and Nicole is just trying to move on, get
Mhm.
past it. Like she has her reality of the relationship with Sam, and of course, Bonono has his view of it, which is a third party view. So, I mean, it was I liked Nicole's stance, like whether it was real, whether it was not, let's just forget the whole thing.
But she does say in the reunion, after watching the show and seeing the things that were said, she was like, "Oh yeah, thanks. I'm so glad that Benaiah was there to stand up for
Mhm.
me."
Yeah.
So, eh,
I like them as a couple. I
me
think they're very
too.
sweet
They're very
and
sweet. They're
it's
unique.
yeah, it seems like it's meant to be. Like I think
Yeah,
that them and Bobby and Jasmine could very well be like, yep, they're still together 4 years from now.
I felt like we didn't really focus on because he was a structural landscaper, basically mowed lawns, I guess, is what that means. But they didn't focus on the fact that was there a conflict about him wanting to be this person that just traveled from town to town, and she wants to be this person that is stays where she is because they mentioned it, but then they didn't really focus on it the rest of the season.
What were their jobs again?
He is a structural landscaper, and
Okay.
she is head of brand and marketing.
I don't know. Maybe they've got jobs they can do on the road. I don't know.
Well, they did a
Yeah.
lot
Whatever,
of
it's
traveling,
working.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
And they looked cute doing it.
They did. I love the update video for them and the video for Bobby and Jasmine. It was
Yeah.
so cute. It's like they're just living life and enjoying. Aw. So
Very
cute.
cute.
They were very
Um
cutesy.
yeah. So that was our last couple. And anything else on them?
No, I
No.
think all the couples are good. I do really just kind of enjoy watching these couples, forge these new connections. You know what I mean?
No. Uh, I thoroughly enjoyed this season. Not gonna lie. I know like so many people are like, watch it. Watch Love is Blind UK. Watch it. So good. It's so good. Is anybody watching it? My group texts are like, is anybody watching it so I can talk about it? And then we finally made it happen.
I mean, listen, shout out to our Married at First Sight Facebook group who was who was asking us to cover this because
Yes.
it's been so long since they've heard from from us. Because we just don't know when that show's coming back. But anyway, listen, it was alright. It was okay. Like it
I
was like
enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. And for everyone out there, I know there's going to be some people who wish that we could have covered every episode individually or in the drops or something. That I agree that probably would have been nice, but it was so relaxing to just be able to sit
Just
there and
watch.
watch
Yeah.
the show
mhm.
and be like, "Ooh," like it
And just
really did.
burn through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gave me like a second first start with this show.
That's the trick. Let's keep
Yeah.
going to different countries, doing a season 1.
I mean, listen,
I love that.
there's a Love Is Blind Mexico right
Yeah.
now that's going on. There's
Season 1.
I think so.
There have been I know there have been other international versions that people have said have been really good. So
Yeah.
Brazil,
Love Is
I
Blind
think.
Japan.
maybe,
Yeah,
I think
Brazil,
so.
Japan.
So
I mean, but
maybe
listen,
maybe that's what we need to do.
the subtitling is hard though. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I know, and I don't want to do dub. I cannot. I don't want to dub it.
Oh, that's the
It's
worst.
because then also the audio does not match the
Yeah.
closed caption, and so I need those, or else the words sound mumbled. I don't know.
Hey, listen, speak English if you want us to watch your show.
Oh my
you know what I mean?
My
Oh,
You know what I'm
God.
saying?
no.
It's from a real American
That is
patriot.
not
Guys,
what I'm
that is-
saying.
That is not what
No,
we
we
believe.
kicked Jason off the podcast.
We kicked him off.
No.
We love every Love Is Blind in every
No,
language.
we're just subs over dubs. That's all.
That's it.
That's
Gosh.
I'm being censored. I'm being censored.
Oh,
Please,
gosh.
please. Oh my gosh. Well,
Just a joke, guys. Just a joke. I feel like I have to say that.
you do.
You do.
Thank y'all so much for joining us to talk about Love Is Blind UK. It was very enjoyable. Thank you for all the tweets and messages, and so that's why we're bringing this to you.
Yes, this is the trick. If you tweet at us hard enough, then we'll just
and you can bully us into podcasting.
Let's not go down that route, man. Let's not go down that route, okay? Because there's some stuff I won't cover.
Yeah. Mary, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
You can follow me everywhere at Frail Mary, and right now still going strong with the Big Brother 26 coverage on RHAP. So feel free to check that out. And also the other thing that I've been getting tweets about and direct asks from Chappelle about are Kowski Cast will very quickly and briefly cover Umbrella Academy seasons 1 through 4
Briefly.
in one episode drops for each season. There will be 4 of those. They will be short, but it'll happen because I'm a completionist, and that's all. So it's coming out.
Awesome. Jason.
What about you, Asia? Oh, never mind.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was skipping Jason. I was like, he doesn't need
Jeez.
this.
Thanks a lot, Mary. Anyway, on Twitter, you can find me at JAYR1085. As far as podcasting goes, I'm doing a lot of different things at the moment. You can catch me on Recap Kickback. We had a discussion with me, Chappelle, and Mari about the new documentary, The Murder of Aaron McNair, Untold Stories. It was a very divisive panel. We had some various thoughts on the documentary, so check that out on Recap Kickback. Also, I was on the podcast 32 Fans, another football related podcast talking about the upcoming season for the Ravens. If that is I know, probably not the audience for that, but anyway, so I put it out there.
I love football. I just can't imagine a podcast about it.
Okay, thanks, Asia. Anyway, just dissing my plugs. Okay, cool. Missed you too. Anyway, also, every week I am talking on The Good Pod with my co-host Marissa Garza about the show The Good Wife and the whole Good Wife extended universe. Elsbeth season 2 coming up, so get ready, folks. But right now we're in the middle of season 1 of The Good Wife. So if that was ever your jam, or you're looking for a new old show to watch, check me out on The Good Pod with Marissa. I think that's it for me. Asia, what's going on with you?
Yeah, so y'all can follow me on all social media at Asia Like Asia. That's AYSHA like ASIA. I will be joining Matt Lagori and Aman Adwin over on the Diary Room Pod. Had a lot of fun talking about this very creative concept they have for the Diary Room Pod, where you're putting 6 house guests, they're competing against each other, and you're just the ultimate goal is to find the best Big Brother player. So definitely go check that out when it comes out. And yeah, if you want to know what I'm up to, go give me a follow. And thank y'all so much for joining us. We're so glad to give you all of our thoughts on Love Is Blind UK.
Guys, I think the guy's name was Benaiah. I think I got it wrong the whole time. Damn.
I'm so glad you came to your senses.
Man, I feel bad.
You are the worst. The absolute worst.
And this is why you skip your plugs, because you don't deserve it on this podcast.
We should have muted his mic as soon as we were done with the last couple. So
Jason even like a
they keep trying to
person.
censor me.
You're like a person voting on Big Brother. It's just all call outs. All shout outs in there. No.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us. Whenever there's more Love is Blind content that we will follow and podcast about, we'll be back. But thank y'all so much for sticking with us and listening. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.